Hello everyone, so welcome back to my channel and we are reading Keeper of the Lost Cities and today I'm going to read chapter 7 in this story. But before I start, I want to tell I'm really sorry for yesterday because yesterday I didn't post that chapter. I really apologize for that because that was a very busy day. So, without any more delay, let's get started. Chapter 7. Sophie had to shield her face as she survived her new surroundings. The enormous metal gate in front of them groaned as bright as sunlight, nearly blinding her. Welcome to Evergreen, Fitz said, leading her toward the doors. What do you think? It's very bright, he laughed. Yeah, the gate observed all the way so no one can leap directly inside. My dad works for the council, so he likes his privacy at home. I guess. After her stressful morning, it was nice to know she would be safe, but she couldn't help wondering what they were trying to keep out. She doubted King Kong could get past the massive doors. A faint click sounded and the gate swung inward. A squeaky figure stood in a small grassy clearing surrounded by the same enormous trees she'd seen growing along the river in the capital. A floor-length midnight blue cape was fastened across his shoulders with a crisp that looked like a pair of yellow diamond encrusted wings. He was tall and lean, with the same vibrant teal eyes and dark wavy hairs. It was possible to miss his family remains. Sophie, this is my dad, father, Eldon, Fitz introduces. She wasn't sure if she should bob or curtsy or shake hands? How should she greet an elf? She managed a shy wave. It is a pleasure to meet you, Sophie, Alden said with an accent more prominent than Fitz. I see Fitz wasn't kidding about the brown eyes, most unusual. She could feel her cheeks flush. Oh, yeah, Alden smiled. There is nothing to be embarrassed about. I think the color is quite pretty, don't you, Spitz? She couldn't look at Fitz as he agreed. Her face felt might it actually be on fire. Did you tell anyone else where Sophie was? Fitz asked. Only the council. Why? Sophie said someone tried to take her this morning. Alan's eyes widened. Are you okay? He asked, scanning Sophie like he was checking for injury. Yeah, he never got close enough to grab me. He just looked like he wanted to. Humans, Alden muttered. Actually, Sophie thought he might be an elf. Fitz told him. Father and son shared a look. Then Eldon shook his head. Kidnapping is a human crime. I have never heard of an elf even considering such a thing, much less trying it. What made you think it was one of us? I might have been wrong, she said, feeling shy and paranoid. I just can't remember hearing his thoughts, which has only happened around Fitz and now you. Yes, Fitz told me about your telepathy. He reached out to touch her forehead. Do you mind? She didn't want to be rude, but she couldn't help taking a step back. I mean, you no harm, I accused you. I'd love to see your memories of the kidnapper, if that's okay. She was surprised he did ask asked her permission. Fitz really was right about the rules for telepaths. Didn't mean she liked the idea of having her memories searched, though. They glanced at Fitz and he nodded, trying to reduce her, but it was the kindness in Alan's eyes that made her agree. Alan placed two fingers gently against her temples and closed his eyes. She tried to hold still and avoid thinking about how good Fitz looked at his dark jacket, but as the seconds tucked by, she could feel her knees start to shake. Well, Eldon said as he pulled his hands away, you are indeed a fascinating girl. Couldn't hear her either, could you? Fitz asked him, sounded temperate. No. Eldon took both of her hands. Well, I will look into what happened this morning, but I'm sure there is no reason to worry. You're here now and it's perfectly safe in our world. He frowned and his head jerked toward Fitz. I specifically told you not to tell her leap again without a knackers. Sorry, I forgot. Sophie thought she saw the guy who tried to grab her, so we needed to get out of here quick. But they are fine. I had us covered. That's not the point. Eldon held out his hands and Fitz dug a small black cliff around of his coat pocket and handed it to him. Alan clamped the blaster around Sophie's right wrist, twisting until it fit swung. Is that comfortable? She nodded, staring at her new accessory. The white band had a single tail jewel set into the front, a smooth grey raglan on the back, and intricate symbols etched all around. She blinked when she realized they were letters that spelled out rubbish, which seemed like an odd way to decorate a bracelet. But what wasn't odd about this world? Eldon twisted the band again and it clicked with finally. There, all said. What is it? A safety precaution. Your body has to break out tiny particles to be carried by the light, and the nacus holds those particles toward together until your concentration is strong enough to go it for you. Fitz never should have let you leap without one, even with the stressful calculations. But Fitz doesn't have one. She pointed to his bare wrist. I got mine off early. My concentration is strong enough for 3 people, which is why we are fine. Sophie's not even a little bit faded, and you know it. Only fools overestimated their skills, son. You have never had to watch someone fade away. Perhaps if you had, you would be more cautious. Fitz's eyes dropped to the ground. What does it mean to fade away? Sophie asked quietly. A second passed before Eldon answered, and he looked like he was watching a memory. It's when you lose too much of yourself in a leap. Your body isn't able to fully reform, and individually, the light pulls the rest of you away and you are lost forever. Sophie felt goosebumps dimple her skin. Alden cleared his throat. It's only happened a few times, and we did prefer to keep it that way. He shot a reproving look at Fitz. Fitz shrugged. Fine, the next time you send me on a secret mission to collect a long lost elf, I will be sure to put the nevers on before I leave her here. Alden's lip looked like they wanted to smile as he mentioned for Sophie and Fitz to follow him down the path. We shouldn't keep our guests waiting. Sophie wiped her palms on her jacket and took a deep breath before she followed him down the narrow path lined with trees blooming red and blue and red and pink and purple, every color of the rainbow. The air was so thick with the perfume of their flowers it was almost drizzling. A nice change from the smoky air back home. How exactly does this test decide my future? They are testing you to see if you qualify for Foxfire. Fitz paused like that was supposed to be something. Isn't that glowing fungus? She asked. Alden cracked up. Fitz looked a little insulted. It's our most prestigious academy. You named your most prestigious academy after fungus? It represents a bright glow in a darkened world, but the light comes from fungus. Fitz rolled his eyes. Will you stop saying fungus? Only those the strongest talent qualify for Foxfire, and if you don't get it, you might as well kiss your future goodbye. Alan placed his hand on her shoulder. You'll have to excuse my son. He is very proud to attend Foxfire, and it's identically an accomplishment, but don't let him worry you. The earliest levels are more of a testing ground to see who develops abilities that qualify them to continue with their studies. The idea of going to an 11 academy made her head spin. Would she have to snack away every day? She didn't see how that could work, but she doubted her parents would knowingly let her light leap to a secret 11 school either, if they really were her parents. Cold chill mix with sudden nausea as last night's traveling revision rushed back, but she sobbed and sinked, though it to a dark corner of her mind, no problem at a time. Is it going to be hard to get into Foxfire? She asked. Counselor Brond will be difficult to impress, Alden admitted. He feels your upbringing and lack of proper education should disqualify you. Plus, he doesn't like surprises. The council had no idea you exist until today, and he is more than a little miffed about it. But you only need 2 out of 3 votes. Just do the best you can. The council didn't know about her. Then why did Fitz say they did been looking for her for 12 years? Before she could ask, they arrived at another clearing and all conhort thoughts vanished. Dozens of square, bronze-skinned creatures with huge grey eyes tended a garden that belonged in a fairy tale. Lush plants grew up and down and sideways and slantways. One of the creatures sipped by carrying a basket filled with twinkling purple fruit. What? It was the only word Sophie could come up with. I'm guessing this isn't quite what you pictured globes, is it? Alden asked. No, these Nenify weren't little old men in pointy hats like Mr. Forkill's lawn statues, so you have grooms for servants. Alden stopped to stare at her. We would never have servants. The Glooms choose to live with us because it's safer in our world. And they help in our gardens because they enjoy it. We are privileged to have them. We will get you first a taste of Gloomish produce during lunch, and you are in for quite a treat. She watched a groom dig slimy yellow tubers like looked like giant slugs out of the ground. She hoped none of those was on the menu. She peeled her eyes away from the strange scene as Alden led her out of the garden to a meadow with a house in the center. One so large, so elegant, she couldn't believe anyone could call it home. Part crystal, part major, it was made almost entirely of infinite cut crystal, and among the nearest terraces the Globus rose a tower that resembled a lighthouse. They passed through two massive doors made of branded silver and entered a round flower which sparkled like a prism in the sunlight. "This way," Ellen said, taking her hand and bringing her down the widest hallway, lined with fountains that spouted streams of colored water over their heads. The hall had ended at a pair of doors exhausted with a jeweled mosaic, two diamond unicorns racing across a field of amethyst flowers. Sophie couldn't help wondering just how rich Fitz's family had to be to live in a place like this, though everything she did say in a 11 world spoke of wealth. It felt very illuminating. Alden seized her hand. "You have nothing to be afraid of." She tried to make herself believe him as Fitz pulled the doors open and led them into a formal dining room. Scarce silk curtains covered the glass walls, drawing the eye up to an enormous cylinder, a waterfall of long shimmering crystals that hung over a round table set with domed platters and fancy goblets. Three figures in jewel crystal rolls rose from the push, throne-like chairs surrounding the table. A second too late, Sophie realized she should have cursed, not that she knew how. She stared at the silver capes fastened at the base of their necks with crisps that looked like roaring golden keys and felt horribly underdressed. Everyone wore jewels and lush fabrics except her and Fitz, and he was in disguise. "Counselors, this is Sophie Foster," Alden introduced with a quick bow. "Sophie, this is Kurt, Kendrick, Orel, and Bront." Kendrick was built like a football player with wide red hair and a big toothy grin. Orel looked like a fairy princess, rosy cheeks and long golden ringlets. And then there was Bront. As Sophie met his cold gaze, she could see what Alden meant about Bront being hard to impress. He was the smartest of the three, with cropped brown hair and sharp feathers. He wasn't bad looking, but there was something strange about his appearance she couldn't put her finger on. She gasped when she realized what it was. What? Bront demanded. Five pairs of blue eyes forced on her, and she stared at the floor as she mumbled, "Sorry, I was surprised to your ears." "My ears?" Bront repeated, confused. Fitz's whole body shook with laughter. Sophie seemed as one by one others joined him. Bront did not look at all the pleased to be left out of the joke. I think she is surprised that your ears are pointy, Eldon finally answered. Our ears changed shape as we age. Individually, it will happen to all of us. I'm going to get pointy ears. Her hand dated to her head like they might have already transformed. Not for a few thousand years, Ellen promised. By by then I doubted you will mind. Sophie sank into a chair, barely noticing that Fist sat next to her. Her brain was on auto repeat. Thousands years, thousands years, thousands years. How long do elves live? She asked. Everyone looked young and vibrant, even Brond. We don't know, Kenrick said, shooting his chair a touch closer to Orlis than he really needed to. No one's dead of old age yet. She rubbed her forehead. It actually hurt her brain trying to understand this. So you are saying elves are immortal? No, a trance of sorrow hid in Ellen's voice. We can die, but our bodies stop aging when we reach adulthood. We don't get wrinkles or gray hair, only our ears age. He smiled at Brond, who groaned back. Brond belongs to a group we call the Ancients, which is why his ears are so distinct. Please help yourselves, he added, pointing to the boomed patterns in front of each guest. Sophie uncovered hers and fought to hide her embrace. Black stripes and purple mushy glob didn't exactly same eat me. She forced herself to take a bite, stunned with the purple goop tasted like the juiciest cheeseburger ever. Is what is this stuff? That's mushed carnasa root. The black stripes are amber leaves, Eden explained. Sophie took a bite of amber leaf. Tastes like chicken. You eat animals? Fitz asked in a tone that would have made more sense if she did say I ate Thosic West. She nodded, swimming when Fitz glimpsed. I take it elves are vegetarian. Everyone nodded. She took another bite to hide her horror. It wasn't that she liked eating animals, but she couldn't imagine leaving off only vegetables. Of course, if the vegetables tasted like cheeseburgers, maybe it won't be so bad. So Sophie Brown snurred her name like it bothered him to say it. Alden tells me you are a telepath. She swallowed her mouthful and it sank into her stomach with a thud. It felt wrong discussing her secret so openly. Yes, it's been reading minds since she was 5. Isn't that right, Sophie? Ellen asked when she didn't respond. She nodded. Kernig's and Orel's jaws dropped. That's the most abstract thing I have ever heard, Bront argued. It's unusual. Alden corrected. Bront rolled his eyes as he returned to Sophie. Let's see how good you are, then tell me what I'm thinking. Sophie's mouth went dry as everyone fell silent, waiting for her. She glanced at Fitz, remembering his warnings about the rules of telepathy. He gave you permission, Fitz told her. She nodded, taking a deep breath to stay calm. Impatiently, the test had begun. Chapter finished. It's such a big chapter, but very interesting, enjoying. If you like this chapter, please give it a thumbs up and comment me down below if you are excited for the next chapter. And thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.